Morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been drumming since 1998, and I still got plenty of stuff to work on, especially on drum kit. Most of my drumming's been rudimental on concert percussion, and less than 1% of my time has been on limb, independence, and drum kit. Now, in these practice streams, think of them like office hours. I'm here to practice things that I'm not good at yet, and if people have questions in the different YouTube chats that I've got up, you're welcome to ask them. But inside of all these 500 plus live streams, there are timestamps in the description to show what I was practicing or what kind of question I was answering. Because I've been drumming for almost 30 years and because I've taught every grade kindergarten through doctoral students, I get a lot of questions about how to get better at performing and questions about how to get better at teaching. Inside of this drumming tips playlist, there's over 20 hours of me responding to different questions that people have asked on all these different live streams, from simple things like why is DCI drumming so unmusical, or what are roughs, to more complicated stuff like whether or not it's worth it to get a doctorate in music education, which I talk about in this video. If it says and other drumming tips or and other teaching tips, that means there are more topics using the timestamps in the description that are not related to the title. So if the title doesn't interest you, something else might. Now, I am not good at limb independence yet, so I'm going to have Shia LaBeouf here help motivate me. So Shia, help me. Get ready to play limb independence. Here we go. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Wow, Shia LaBeouf, I'm super motivated now. I need to tell my wife to stop tugging on my ears. That's weird. Sorry, I just don't waste my time on people trying to waste my time. So goodbye. You ready to do it? Me too. In the members like gifts, there's actually emotes rather. There's one that is a do it emote. I just posted it in the horizontal chat. Anyways, okay. Got a question. Let's see, from Danny. You got a question? Got the rental drums from the original concert. That's cool. What's the question? I see that you say you've got a question, but I don't see what the question is. Anyways, while you type that in there, I am going to practice limb independence today. Now, on my home tab of YouTube, there's thousands, plural, of free exercises that you can use to improve your drumming, like chop exercises in here. If you're a rudimental drummer like myself, there's currently 91 videos in here. There are over 1,000 grid variations inside of here. You got to click on the header to show all of the different playlists inside of here to work on different rudiments. Like I was working on flam 5s the other day, flam drags the other day, but there's a bunch of different rudiments inside of here. Today, I'm practicing limb independence, so I'll be in this section. I'll show you more in a second here. There's over 500 marching bass drum exercises. There's a bunch of drumline cadences and scores. There's a bunch of sight reading exercises, and there's almost 500 technique exercises inside of here. Again, you got to click on the header to show all of these. Later on at the end of the stream, I'm going to be playing through the endurance and speed exercises inside of there to work on my feet because I'm not good at double bass yet. But this is where you can find the drumming tips playlist that I was talking about that has over 20 hours of me responding to different questions on here on these live streams, as well as the drumming lessons playlist, which I just added another one to earlier today. So the one that I added is how to stay in time while marking time. It might be a different title for you, but it's currently members first. I think it comes out on the 6th. Every Monday, there's a new one that is on here. Thank you for the follow on Instagram. But every Monday, there's a new drumming lessons playlist that comes out, or video, and then every day there's a new play along. So all these members first ones will come out for free. If you want early access to the 600 or so members first videos, just click the join button. It's 99 cents. That's the cheapest I can make it on YouTube. You have a question? You want to become a battery arranger. You're proficient enough with tenors, but don't know how to go about listening, or learning to write for the rest of the battery. That's a good question. So a lot of what I end up doing with like how I learn is like studying what other people have done. So a lot of composers, what they'll end up doing if they want to learn how to write in a particular style is they will actually go and like study the people who came before them and try and write within that style. So during my master's, I took a class called compositional modeling. And so what we ended up doing is writing in the style of like Mozart and Bach and Schubert, etc. So just a bunch of different famous composers. And we learned what were their characteristics, what made their music interesting, what made it so that when you listen to it, you're like, that's a piece by Mozart. And then we would go and try and create our own short little excerpt or arrangement that was within that style of that particular composer. You can do the same thing for drums. So if you're trying to learn how to write for, let's say, a bass line, try and create like a little bass solo or a little bass like feature or whatever, or even just a groove within the style of like Rhythm X or within the style of SCV or whatever bass line that you can think of. You can do the same thing for tenors, for snares, for front ensemble, etc. There's many different things that you can do. And then you can also try doing them in connection with each other. So let's do like an arrangement in the style. If Paul Rennick were to write something, what would it be like for the battery, etc. So you can try and do that to like learn how to do it. Outside of that, one of the ways that I actually focus on like arranging when I used to do that was I would have the three different voices. So the snares being the sopranos, the tenors obviously being like the tenors, and the basses being the basses. And so writing so that the snares would try and accompany and complement what the like higher voices were doing in the marching band, and the same thing for tenors, same thing for basses, and trying to make it so that if you were to hear those three voices put together, that it would sound like the music that the rest of the wind and brass are playing or the front ensemble is playing. So that way you can actually make it so that like it matches the music, complements it, adds some groove to it, adds some textures, maybe some counterpoint, rhythmically speaking, or even melodically speaking, etc., and use that as your guide. So don't think of like writing a snare part for a snare drummer, but think of writing a snare part that complements what everybody else is doing, as opposed to making it like the main feature. Sorry, phone alarm's going off. So either try and model what other people are doing, and you can practice this by writing like cadences, exercises, little excerpts, etc., or try and like specifically just dive deep into like music and like writing for that within your own style that you want to go for. Now, when I'm doing this, I will often like when I was like writing music, I would often like listen to other arrangements that other people were doing within like the piece we may have been doing for like a marching band, and I'd get inspiration and go, oh, that was a really cool idea that they used with the voicing, with the snares, tenors, basses, etc. in that. I want to kind of like use that as like a launch pad and build off of that and then do it in my own unique way. So if you listen to like several different people who are like all arranging for a particular song, like the Verdi's Requiem or something like that, and go and listen to how they approach it in different ways, that can also serve as an inspiration for figuring out what to do. But just know that it takes practice. So like the first year that I wrote a book, it was terrible. And then the next year it was better. And then the next year it was better. Like it slowly got better over time. Another thing you could do is actually like take sheet music that like is transcriptions, or like buy the sheet music from like other arrangers and try and see like what they have done and just like study it. So basically do a score analysis to go, how did they make this sound so good? Like, how is it that Jim Casella made the battery parts sound so good with the brass and with the front ensemble with old school Vanguard in like the early 2000s? Or how is it that like the X or Y arranger is able to do that with whatever? So like there's a lot of different publishers that do sell like the arrangements. And there's a lot of like Learn the Beats, like Vic Firth that does, and like other YouTube channels that will like actually show the music. And you can learn that by doing a score analysis to figure out like what makes this work and like actually sit there and play through it. Which is something that like honestly not a lot of arrangers will do. Is they like, especially for tenors, they will not like actually play through the part and realize, oh, that's actually like physically impossible. So make sure you do that as well with whatever you're doing, whether it's on the bass part or the snare part or the tenor part. Just like take some time and actually to play through each part and go, does this feel comfortable? Is there a way that I could like change the rhythms or change the like the engraving, the way it looks to make it easier to understand where it aligns with the feet, etc. And the more you can do that, the easier it is going to be to learn. And the easier it is to learn, the better it's going to sound faster with whatever ensemble you're writing for. But hopefully that gives you some suggestions, highest. Sorry. Do I got something for double time swing? It was weird that YouTube actually blocked that. Yeah, I actually do, and I'll show you one in a minute. Let me check out some other questions. Have the silent stroke heads and the Zildjian. You're looking at getting both for your apartment. Yeah. So these are great. I love them. My wife, like 2 streams ago, when I was practicing limb independent stuff, she was on the phone in the other room and was like had a full on conversation and no one knew. Like you can still hear them. To be clear, and the boom that you might get, you might hear that for underneath, but they are so quiet compared to like normal cymbals. So for people who aren't familiar, the reason why you can see my hand through this is because there's holes drilled into them. So it makes it so that they are significantly quieter. They are much brighter than I tend to prefer for my cymbals. I prefer like a darker, like a German sound, as opposed to what these sound like. But they are significantly lower in volume, and the silent strokes are significantly lower in volume as well. So like when you're playing on it, if you play like here, my drum trigger's on in module, but when you play on like an actual like Mylar head, like underneath, it's like so much louder than these are. The only thing is the rebound is a little extra bouncy, and if you're using a drum trigger like I am to get this like electronic like hit sound, it's a hybrid acoustic electric, just so it sounds a little bit better on the streams. It doesn't pick it up super good because the vibration's a little bit weirder because these are mesh heads as opposed to like a Mylar head. So if you're using a drum trigger with it, just know that it might not be great. There is more bounce to it. And then the cymbals will eat your sticks. Like, they're hungry too. So if you look right here, this is like a fresh pair of sticks, the Jack Dijonets. And then here's like a pair that I have practice with, and they've become vampire hunting stakes. So the cymbals, because of the holes, they will eat like your drumsticks up. So just an FYI, those are the downsides to it. But otherwise, it's totally worth it. My wife can literally be like right on the other side of one of the walls in this room and on a phone, and people won't hear it, which is great. Might not be the silent strokes. Yeah, these are the silent strokes. If you actually go to like in any one of the videos on my home tab, there's thousands of drumming videos, but if you go to this one, the percussion books and gear I recommend, when you click on that link, it takes you to the website, which has, here are some of the books that I've demonstrated or recommend, and then here's like the pedals that I'm using, here's the cymbals, here's the silent strokes and the pads, etc., as well as like the Jack Dijonets. So if anyone's curious, go there. And then the top link at each one of these, this is the easiest way to sort through all the thousands of free drumming play-alongs and tips. Is like, here's all the chop stuff, the grid stuff, limb independence, marching bass, etc., etc. Go there. My home tab is the second best place to go. It's just because I can't like change the way YouTube looks to make it neater. This is easier than YouTube is. You're a drummer from 2005 to 2016? Well, why stop? Stop having a place to practice? Well, you can get like pads and sticks and whatnot. You can still practice. But yeah, you can also practice with just your wrists. You can play along to any of these if you're interested in it. Ideal cymbals for a video shoot where the drummer is miming the audio. Yeah, you could definitely do that because then you could actually hear it. There's a video, Devin Taylor, who he goes by like Devin Sticks Taylor, I believe. He was or still is the drum kit player for Justin Bieber. And Devin Taylor, oh man, that guy can play. Like, he's got chops galore with like the gospel influence, and that guy can play. If you search for Devin Taylor, I think it's either the silent strokes or it's the Zildjian. There's a video on YouTube of him playing with just like a laptop playing while playing along with these. And one, it's just a crazy good performance. But two, he's able to like practice on the drum kit with literally laptop speakers playing and still be able to hear it. So highly recommend it. Can I show you some stretches? Yeah. So go to the home tab on YouTube. Scroll down to the drumming lessons playlist all the way down here, past all the play-alongs. Inside of the drumming lessons playlist is the stretch and massage routine that I'm going to do in about 5 minutes. It's all the way towards the bottom. It's this hand routine, Save My Drumming, and it shows you stretches for match grip, for traditional grip, like rotary motions, traditional or Stevens, etc. So highly recommend watching this. And then this one's also about how to recover after practicing drums. So I'd recommend pairing those two together. But this one shows you like different stretches from better camera angles than I can do on here. But I'll do those in a few minutes. How do I hold my sticks? If you go to, again, the drumming lessons playlist, this one, How to Hold a Drumstick, talks about that. But there's thousands more free resources and stuff on my home tab. Either go to my website or to go to the home tab. Just click on any of these headers and it shows you all of the different play-alongs inside of these sections. Like there's almost 500 technique exercises. There's also over 20 hours of drumming tips just in that playlist alone. And then there's currently 27 videos inside of that like scripted drumming lessons playlist. But somebody earlier asked me about double time, which is kind of funny because I'm actually about to work on that. So I'm going to switch between two different limb independence patterns. This is a more advanced way to work on limb independence, so I don't recommend starting here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and on the ride. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2 and 3 and... So the entire time my hi-hat is going to be on the upbeat. So while I'm reading through short notes, eighth notes on the snare drum, long notes on the bass drum, and then every 4 bars, I'm actually going to switch from this double time swung to a half time 16th note feel, where a 1, 2, a 3, 4, a 1, 2, a 3, 4, a 1, and then I'm going to go back into here while still playing, etc. Sorry, my audio on the module got all messed up. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to read through some of the limb independence charts that are on my home tab here. But let me actually see real quick. So the last time I played through this, this is pattern number 15 out of Don Moyle's book called 50 Ways of Syncopation. I did it at 120. Okay. And pattern number 28. So inside of the limb independence section, every single one of these playlists links to a video that shows you how to develop limb independence from the very beginning. Like you can barely play the ostinato, which is the part that stays the same. So check this one out. It shows you several steps to follow from absolute beginner to what I'm doing right now, where I'm switching back and forth between two different limb independence patterns that I'm comfortable with on their own. But now I'm trying to sight read different charts while switching back and forth every 4 bars. I'm going to just go ahead and pick 31 through 35. That sounds great. There's 55 charts in here, both straight and swung variations. And all of these thousands of play-alongs have timestamps in the description, so you can jump to whatever BPM you want. Before I do that, let me say that real quick. Used to practice on a double pedal, cross-handed right foot. I recommend checking out that video that's on the top of each one of them. It shows you, each one of these playlists, it shows you like not only how to do limb independence, like how to practice it, but this one right underneath it was actually a live stream that I did where it was over 3 hours of me playing one chart 62 different ways. Some of them sound great, and some of them sound like I still need to practice it, which is true. But if you go into here, this gives you 62 different ways to like think of limb independence, and you can use any one of these charts to work on that. So that's what I'd recommend, is like starting there, or getting books like this. This is where a lot of those ideas came from, is 50 Ways of Syncopation by Don Moyle, or New Breed 1 and New Breed 2 by Gary Chester. All 3 of those books are great. For like developing limb independence. But these 2 resources right here will give you literally years worth of stuff to practice. Hello. Anyways, cool. Let's play along to this. So I'm playing this at 120. So I'm going to go into the timestamps in the description and say 120, and then it's going to count off in my headphones. Now you can't hear the play along because there's like a sync delay. So I muted it on your end, but I can hear it in my headphones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, and switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello to you. 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and I'm gonna switch again. I forgot to switch. Adjusted my audio. Cool. So switch every 4 bars. If this is too hard for you, you can switch every chart, every 8 bars, whatever you need to do. I'm just practicing every 4. And I mess that up. You don't know what the word means? It's limb independence. So I am playing 2 different parts that stay the same while I read short notes on the snare drum, so 1/8 notes, and anything longer on the bass. Snare, bass, snare, snare, bass, snare, snare, bass, snare, bass, snare, 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 bass. And then I switch right here to a different limb independence pattern. And then switch back to the double time here every 4 bars. So it works on sight reading while also being able to do limb independence, so you can play different patterns. Now this is harder. Normally I'd recommend just doing 1 pattern for 1 chart, but I'm switching every 4 bars so I can practice being able to just jump back and forth between 2 different variations. Even though I might not do this in a song every 4 bars, I want to be able to jump into it comfortably. But it's difficult, which is why I'm practicing one that I'm not good at yet. This makes it so that you can actually like sit down with like a group and be handed a chart and actually like be able to sight read it and make it sound more musical by being able to play like multiple different limb independence variations with the same chart. So like on different phrases, maybe every like 16 bars you can like switch to something else. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, ready, and You've been playing drums for a while. Just started actually learning recently. Nice, nice. Well, the home tab is where you'll find all the thousands of resources that I recommend using to practice. So it's organized into different sections. So chops, grid stuff. This is where I'm practicing right now. But there's a ton of different things to like work on your technique or whatever. You just have to click on the header and it shows you like all the different like play alongs to practice with. But what I'd really recommend if you're focusing on your learning, this playlist has over 100 videos and over 20 hours of me answering questions on the Q&A, like during these live streams. And that's like edited 20 hours. So I get rid of all the time thinking, etc. It's dense. So there's a lot of information in here on like basic stuff like how to play buzzes or how to work on blah or how to prevent burnout. And then more complicated stuff like whether or not it's worth it to get a doctorate in music, which I have one for context. So highly recommend checking this out. But then also in here, this drumming lessons has like a bunch of scripted lessons on very specific things like flams or tenor playing zones or how to drum louder or how to hold traditional grip or what I'm about to do, which is stretch and massage. So this one that's called This Hand Routine Saved My Drumming helps out with that. You don't play or practice, but can play naturally. That's actually not a thing. Everything takes practice. So there's actually decades and decades and decades of research on this in all domains, basically, whether it's like chess or sport or music or whatever. But there's a sports psychologist in particular, K. Anders Ericsson, who talks a lot about the research on that and talks about everything requires practice. And the so-called natural ability is indistinguishable from 50 hours of practice. And what's likely happening is there's a thing called skill transference. So somebody who thinks that they can do something naturally practice a similar skill in a similar domain that just transferred over into this one. But then again, after 50 hours is indistinguishable from people who didn't have any so-called natural talent and be able to do it. But part of my research was actually doing skill acquisition and expertise. That's why I know a bit about that. But anyways, I'm going to stretch and massage now. So I'm doing palms facing up. I pull in, I push through. Hello to you. You want to play more drums, but you don't have space in your room? You're able to play every 3 to 5 days. You can actually do a process called visualization. It's a mental imagery or mental practicing. And it's a process that can be about 80% as effective, depending on the verisimilitude, which is like how lifelike something is. And Trevor, dude, I literally have a doctorate in this. Like, I think I know what I'm talking about. So you can disagree all you want, but there's literally decades of research that says you don't know what you're talking about. So it's fine if you want to disagree, but you're wrong. Like, according to all the decades of research that I've read on it, that's not how that works. Anyways, the underside of my forearm, I'm going to stretch that. I'm just going to pull back this way. So this is stretching the underside. Yeah, but local. So you're able to practice mentally, just like visualize yourself practicing, and that's a way that you can actually improve. And there's a video that I did that kind of talks about it, and I made it kind of goofy. This one. So how to get better on drums without drumming. So this one, I use like Photoshop and just like Photoshop like my face into just like different goofy images. But what I'm talking about there is like the research on mental imagery and visualization and whatnot, and like how to practice in your head. So that's a way to look into it. But I'd highly recommend, like, there's a bunch of different books on it. Just look up visualization techniques. And that's how you can practice without it. But another way that you can practice is obviously with like sticks and pads, or you can even just like practice with your wrists and whatnot. And that can help you out, etc. Watching my stream. Thank you. I can now train yourself and learn. Well, good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch the top side of the forearm. So instead of doing the underside, I'm going to do it like this. So you could do it one time like this, or you could do on your legs like this. Are you just trolling? You're a huge fan? Well, thank you. I do have the fan on. It's hot in here. Are you helping keeping me warm or cool? Thank you. So doing it on the legs, by the way, just makes it go twice as fast, which is just easier. The final stretch that I'm going to do is thumb to thumb. So for this one, what I'm doing is just pressing one thumb into the other thumb and making so that I can stretch right here. Now, Trevor, I'm trying to be nice in my response to you, but I'm also trying to be very firm with you. Like, I literally have a doctorate in music education and have done extensive amount of research on skill acquisition and expertise. So I'm trying to politely just tell you, you're wrong on that assumption, according to literally decades worth of research. So I highly recommend actually looking into it. But K. Anders Ericsson is like the main dude that like everybody cites. So like the whole like 10,000 hour rule is something that Malcolm Gladwell popularized, but it's actually based off of research by K. Anders Ericsson. So Gladwell is not like a researcher; he's just a journalist. So I'd highly recommend taking a look at that. Just don't spread false information to people. Trevor, I have no patience for people like you. $1,000, you're a high school kid who has 0 degrees in this content area. You're welcome to compare qualifications if you'd like to. Go to /CV instead of /drum right here, and then you can compare that. I love you. And cool. So that was the final stretch that I was going to work on. What I'm going to do now is actually massage. So I'm going to do a quick massage, thumb up here, fingers underneath. This is not a request stream, so I'm not here to just like say random words. Thank you though. Especially since I don't know what the word is. Like, people will often try and get me to say stuff that's inappropriate. And I'm not interested in that kind of trolling. Do. Ooh-wee. Okay, so the next massage that I'm going to do is thumb massaging the palm and fingers massaging the backside of the hand. And then there's one more that I'm going to do. By the way, so Trevor, you are banned, so no one's able to see any of your comments. But for future reference, if you're going to try and make false arguments, at least like do your homework in advance rather than just like try and spout out nonsense. So I'm like actually citing research and researchers and encouraging people to look up specific terms to be able to do that. So if you want to like troll people, at least try and cite some of the counter arguments about talent and skill acquisition and whatnot. There are some, but since you're unable to do that, you are unable to actually engage in a meaningful conversation on the topic. Base the tip of each one of the fingers. So I'm massaging one last one. Do I have advice on someone who wants to learn drums but doesn't have one? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lessons and stuff that you can check out on my home tab under the tips and lessons section, like this drumming lessons playlist, as well as the drumming tips playlist that has over 20 hours of me giving different answers to questions and whatnot. But sticks and pad, you'll be fine. And if you don't have sticks and pad, like you can literally just practice. Like I can sit here and just like and just like work up with just hands and playing just on the ground. And if even better, if you got sticks and then you got like a practice pad and like a table or something, you can use that to practice. So there's like different levels of like, I don't have anything to, I have sticks and pads or even like a fake like drum kit, like a practice one or like an E-drums or whatever, all the way up to like acoustic. So anywhere in between, you're able to still work on stuff. But the home tab is where you can find all the resources. So if you're like new to drums, the tips and lessons section has a ton of content in here worth checking out. And then the play-alongs and whatnot are here. So highly recommend that. But the link at the top of each one of the descriptions of the videos and the link right here if you're on the vertical takes you to /drum. And this is like a neater way that everything is organized in terms of like all the lessons, all the play-alongs, etc. And Trevor, since you were trying to compare earlier, go to /CV and it takes you to here. And so this is my curriculum vitae, which shows like the publications, presentations, research interests, all that stuff that I've done over the decades that I've been teaching drums. So, well, and music and computer science, etc. But if you want to compare qualifications, somehow I don't think you are also an international award-winning scholar. So know your place. And don't try and argue with people who know more than you. How often should you massage? So I do it every single day, at least once a day. So I do it after I warm up, like I just did for like a few minutes. And then I'll do a quick stretch and massage routine. But also doing it at the end of your practice sessions or at the end of the day is also like worthwhile. So if you go into the tips and lessons section, there's this video which shows you better like camera angles and stuff on like the stretch and massage routine that I just did, as well as some bonus ones for rotary motions like traditional or Stevens, etc. But this video, which is what to do 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 5 hours after drumming, also talks about like recovery and different ways that you can recover after your drumming. So I highly recommend watching this as well. But those two combined are like super helpful for you. But yeah. Greetings from Brazil. Well, welcome. Yokoso. Sorry, I'm learning Japanese. Okay, so I am going to be practicing in the limb independence section. Now, the thing that I'm working on today, I'm going to review some of these patterns that were kind of giving me some difficulty the other day. So one of them was pattern number 52, which pattern number 52 is not that one. Let me change it real quick. Is this one. It's funky. So the last time I did this, I did it at 130. Okie dokie. So this requires some explanation here. So think of 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, okay? So this pattern is in 16th notes. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, but if you're to play that as triplets, same rhythm, da 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 da, triplet, 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 you'll end up doing 3 of them in the space of 4 quarter notes. So I'm gonna play that as triplets with hi-hat on 2 and 4 with my foot. So cool. Now, while doing this, I'm going to read short notes on the snare drum. So that was swung 8th notes. And anything longer than that is going to go on the bass drum. So on the bass drum, okay? Now, the way I'm going to do this is by playing through some different charts that are in my home tab of YouTube under the limb independence section. Again, with all these thousands of play-alongs, I have to organize it into these different sections for like technique or tips or whatever. So you have to click on the header to show all the playlists inside of them. But because the drums are swung, and I'm going to play it at 130, I'm going to go into the swung drum charts from 100 to 159. Now, when practicing this one, it took me over a month just to be able to read through one of the charts while playing this ostinato pattern, because this pattern is stupid difficult because you're playing a straight pattern over swung drums, and it's a 3/4. So it's wonky, but it's worth the challenge. So I personally enjoy these kind of things. It really works my brain in a good way. Which, by the way, having taught like every grade kindergarten through doctoral student over the decades that I've been teaching, going back to Trevor, and this will be the last time I bring it up, it's clear that you've never taught before, or if you have, you've never worked with a beginner before, because you don't know what that development process looks like from absolute beginner to expert. So I'd highly recommend like actually teaching people, and then you'll realize that you were actually wrong, very, very wrong with whether or not it requires talent. Anyways. Okay, so 130. In all these thousands of play-alongs, just click the timestamp so you can jump to a specific BPM. I'm doing this at 130. Wish me luck. This requires a lot of brain power, and sometimes my brain is not cooperating. Here we go. This is the ostinato. Unlike what I warmed up with, I'm not going to switch every 4 bars. I'm just going to stick with this the entire chart. It's a 3/4 straight over swung. It's hard enough. I don't need to switch to something else. Sweet. That felt comfortable. Again, took over a month just to be able to read through a chart. And not even well at that. Just like to sort of get through it. 1, 2, ready, and... Oops, read that wrong. My bad. My drum trigger is it's giving weird dynamics and flamming sometimes. I don't know what's up with it. Let me try and adjust it. Let me pause it real quick. Sorry. That's a little bit better. So because of the mesh heads, they don't work too great with the drum trigger that I'm using. It's a cheaper Yamaha trigger with the EAD10, I think. Forget the name of it. But it's... yeah, you get what you pay for, I guess. Not as great as I'd like. 1, 2, ready, and... Sweet. Some of y'all usernames are so goofy. Just looking at one of the chats. Not gonna point anyone out, but interesting name. New tool demo. It does kind of sound like it. It is a weird pattern. 3/4 straight over swung is funky. Definitely something they would play. 1, 2, ready, and... Funky, right? It's a fun one though. I like it. So this journal just kind of keeps track of how I did with it. So overall, it was mostly technically proficient, bordering on musical, adding in different timbres, textures, dynamics, etc. But it was mostly technically proficient, and I had fun with it. So I enjoyed that. That went way better than it did 2 days ago. So high five. Woo! Now I'm going to do pattern number 53, which is a similar concept, but harder. So it's also 3/4. It's also straight over swung. But it's a soca feel. So what? How fast? 120. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so a soca feels like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. Buckets, 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 buckets. That's if it's 16th notes. 1 EN, 2 EN. But instead of 16th notes, I'm gonna play it as triplets. So triplet, triplet, triplet. Da 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 da. Buckets, buckets, buckets. So again, you're doing 3 of those buckets in the space of 4 quarter notes. The pattern is technically a straight pattern. This sounds straight, right? While reading charts swung on the drums. The snare drum is going to play swung 8th notes, while the bass drum is going to play anything longer than an 8th note. So okay, so that was swung 8ths, and then moved into just quarter notes while playing the buckets, buckets, buckets. Weird. I know, but fun. This one took like over a month and a half for me to actually be able to play through charts poorly. What charts? Well, my home tab under the limb independent section. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Inside of this section, click to expand. And because the drums are swung, I'm going to go swung, and I'm going to play this at 120. You can go as slow as 40 or as fast as 240, depending on what pattern you're working on. And there's also the straight versions here. Every one of these playlists has a video that shows you how to develop limb independence like I'm demonstrating. Some of them might take a long time to work on, like this one did. But it's a process that I've demonstrated across these streams with stuff that I was terrible at, like this pattern, that I can now actually play. I say with hesitation. But first, cold heat. 美味しかったです。でも、温かいじゃないです。Oh, did I click 120? Yes. Yes, I did. Let's press it again, just because it was so much fun. Woo! Alright, so pattern 53, soca, 3/4, straight over swung. 2, 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You put death before decaf on your coffee cup. That's funny. My coffee cup says +7 energy. Gives me energy. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, this feels way better than it did 2 days ago. I might have myself now that I gave myself a compliment. It's like my dog. When you praise him, he like just behaves badly right after the praise. It's funny. Cool. 2 more charts. Again, this took a month and a half before I could even read through a chart. If you're like, how? It's just practice. Watch the video that shows you how to develop it. That last line was funky, with the feet in particular, because of this like hi-hat shup. How some of those upbeats line up with a swung bass drum on the upbeat is so weird. It's fun to play though. 1, 2, here we go. Read that wrong. That's a weird one. It's a fun one. I enjoyed it. Again, mostly technically proficient, bordering on musical at times. Again, for me, the technically proficient means able to play the ink on the page with it feeling comfortable enough. But musical is where you add in different timbres, different textures, maybe add in some accents, etc. You can't hear all that fancy stuff because, unfortunately, the drum trigger does not really pick up all that. But that's what I'm ideally going for. Now, when I started here, it needs a lot of work for a long time here for the overall quality. It was terrible, and it was 20 clicks slower. But over time, I was able to get better at it. Speaking of able to get better at it, I have a double bass pedal now, so I want to work on the double bass pedal. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been doing that using some endurance and speed exercises, that you can find in my home tab of YouTube. So if you go to the home tab, and you scroll past the chop stuff, have it march somewhere. Yeah. So a lot of the stuff is like rudimental stuff. Like check out the shopping sprees playlist if you're interested. There's 37 shopping sprees inside of there. But I marched 5 summers with the Academy, center, snare, section leader. And then my 5th summer, I got into a car accident. And so I didn't get to march years 6 or 7. But there's actually a video that talks about that. Trigger warning, there's talk about abuse from an instructor in the video. So just FYI, if that is triggering for you, don't watch it. But I went from center, snare to in snare twice. And that video talks about being snare drummer, etc. So check that out if you're interested in it. Question as a metal drummer. Do. Flying fingers is difficult because of that. I'm trying to debate like how to respond to it, because I want to answer your question, but I also want to push back gently and say, depending on like what you're working on here, a lot of it's usually metal drummers, so they just focus on the flash. So it's just like, and that's like all you do. But like, since you say you miss marching, like there's so much more that you can do outside of the just play fast that I'd actually recommend like working on. So like, as just a gentle pushback, like drummers like 2 with Sleep Token, it's like a very like jazz influenced metal drumming where it's very musical. And so like I personally like really like that style of playing as opposed to just hit drum fast kind of playing. But that said, like everybody's anatomy is different. So like the way my hand works, the way my fingers work, etc., like it's all different. So if you have a thumb that is a different angle than other people, you'll have some disadvantages in some areas and you'll have some advantages in other areas. And what you have to do is try and find the technique that works for you. So if you have a thumb that does something different than what you're seeing somebody else teach, try and find somebody else who has a thumb that works the way that you your anatomy also is in alignment. But with anything, the best way to get faster at something is to practice it slower. So like in these like practice streams that I do, when I'm like working on like a grid variation or whatever, like any one of the things where I'm trying to refine my technique, the reason why they all start like stupid slow is because I want to be able to refine my playing. So like if I'm working on like diddle on 1 grid, I would start not at 184 beats a minute. I would start literally at 40 beats a minute and just play through this to slowly refine the technique. So whatever your technique is, whether you're using like fingers or wrist or rotary wrist or molar or whatever, they all work in some ways and then they all kind of don't work as well in other ways. So do what you need to do to be able to get the sound out of it that you want, but get out of the way of the stick generally helps. Rely on as much rebound as possible as opposed to like muscling it in, and staying relaxed as possible. So some of the resources that might help you with that are in the drumming lessons playlist. A good question. Actually, I'll show you something. So if you go into the drumming lessons section, so inside of here, there's some different videos that are coming out. So one of them is Stop Looking for the Right Way to Play Drums. This comes out, I think, on the 30th. So stay tuned for that. I think that's the date, whatever like 3 Mondays from now is. But this one specifically talks about how context is important. So like you'll use a different technique if you're playing on here versus playing on a floor tom versus playing with a soft mallet versus playing with like a marching stick versus playing with like Burton or Stevens or whatever. Like there's so many different ways to play and they're all right and wrong for different reasons. So that video will likely be helpful for contextualizing some of that. But another one to also take a look at, this one comes out, I think, no, this one, the 4 stroke types, and then How to Make Drumming Effortless. These come out in the next 2 Mondays. So watch those when those come out. And also How to Drum Louder. So this one's also a good one to take a look at because a lot of people will focus on like large motions and it'll end up slowing them down as opposed to refining it. In terms of answering your question about fingers, I avoid fingers at all costs. And when I am playing, I try and focus 100% on a wrist technique, which again has affordances and constraints or some pros and cons. But it gives me a more consistent, fuller sound than relying on a finger, like the smaller muscles. But when I'm playing a very fast, very, very fast... Oh, thank you for signing up for the early access. That gives you like 600-ish videos that you get early access to, but I appreciate that. So now you can actually watch that one right now if you'd like to. But when I'm playing like a paradiddle or something, I'm relying on rebound before I'm going to rely on fingers. Finger technique is very difficult to play two height stuff with. It's very hard to like do open close very fast, as opposed to relying on a controlled rebound stroke to be able to get the diddle in the paradiddle in there. So there's a video in this drumming lessons playlist that actually talks about how to speed up a rudiment, and it specifically talks about paradiddles because that's one of the faster ones that people like to talk about. But you can apply it to paradiddle diddle like you're mentioning when working on this. So I'd highly recommend watching this one because it talks about a mental reframing to speed up, as well as the mechanical things to break down what you do in a paradiddle diddle or a paradiddle to be able to speed it up. And it points to some exercises in there. So this is the how to speed up any rudiment video. It's less than 3 minutes of your time, but I promise it can help you out. At the end of the video, it points to the technique section, specifically the rudiment builders playlist. Inside of the rudiment builders playlist, there is a paradiddle diddle zoom. My wife named it. This one is a good exercise, or the next one, which has a Swiss sticking for the check. This is a good exercise that you can work on to work on your paradiddle diddles. So it breaks down the mechanics into just the diddles or just the herta part. So the herta being, or the diddle part. So watch that how to speed up any rudiment, and then specifically work on this exercise, paradiddle diddle zoom, and that can help you out. Another one that can help you out is slow, fast, slow, if you do it with triplets. So if you scroll down inside of here, slow, fast, slow with triplets, if you do this one, what you're doing in the timestamps is you're selecting a BPM range. So let's say you can play, like you mentioned, 130 beats a minute. So if your maximum is 130, then start right here, or maybe even like a few clicks slower, like 120. And it's going to start at 40 beats a minute, and you'll just play paradiddle diddles on top of this, on top of the paradiddle diddle while doing this, on the top of the triplets. And it's going one click at a time faster, every single measure. So it's going to go faster, 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 all the way up to whatever you select for your maximum tempo. In this case, I selected 120. So once it gets to 120, it's going to hold it there for 4 measures. So you'll just like holding it there. And then it's going to slow back down one click at a time for each measure, all the way until it gets down to 40 beats a minute. So this is another great way to work on that. But again, I talk about these exercises in that how to speed up any rudiment video, which you can find home tab inside of the drumming lessons playlist. But I am not good at drum double kick yet, so working on that for the last couple weeks, and I'm working on the endurance and speed playlist right here, and I'm doing a chug variation that actually has hertas in it because they're fun to play. And I'm just working on my feet. So what I'm doing is I'm switching between heel down technique and heel up technique. I want to be able to do both, and I'm not good at either yet. So I'm going to switch back and forth between each of them, and I'm going to start at 70, which is actually 10 clicks faster than I started a couple weeks ago. So I'm making progress on this, but it's going to get to a point where my feet are just like, no, stop. And I'm trying to push my feet to play and to be able to think a little bit faster with this. So one day I can get them up to my hand speed. Thank you for the sub. Now I'm going to do heel up. 1 and 2 and... Heel down. 2 and 1 and 2. so much more control over the heel down. Because I practice it more. Wow! Well, yeah, good luck with that. If you have more questions after watching those and practicing, let me know. Heel down, by the way. Whew. Okay, heel up. My legs are already getting tired. I don't know why. And 2. And 1, 2. Da 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 da. Still need to work on that. Heel down. 1, 2. Hands while I'm practicing. Elaborate on what you mean by scheduling, like what you do during practicing or making time for it. Heel down. And 1, 2. What to work on during practicing? Okay. I've actually got a video that's coming out in 2 months that does that. Hold on. So it's a video I haven't even finished the script with, but the plan is it'll be out in about 2 months. So I have been thinking about how to frame this concisely. So think of your practice routine in like four different chunks: warm up, stretch and massage, the grind, and then pushing yourself to play faster. So as a rudimental drummer, so warm up, I might play like stick control or like a flam exercise or rolls or something. Doesn't need to be super fast. Maybe 75, 80% maximum tempo for like 3 to 5 minutes. Stretch and massage is the little routine that I did with like all this stuff and like massaging, etc. It takes 3 to 5 minutes. That's the first 2 things. The bulk of what you're going to work on is technique, refining something, especially if you're a rudimental drummer. For the rudimental side of things, just the grind is going to be 80%-ish of your practice session, focusing on trying to improve something. What that thing is determined by what data you've collected in previous streams. So for myself, when I did like a Flam 5 stream the other day, so I started at 40, where I was doing Flam 5 grid. This is way faster than 40, but when doing it, I started at 40 and I went up 10 clicks at a time until I couldn't play anymore. Until it sounded really bad and my technique didn't sound good. That gave me data for what to work on when I actually sat down and practiced it. So by playing it at my breaking point, I realized, oh, my left thumb was squeezing too hard. My left hand was switching over to German grip, so it was flattening out, etc. And a lot of the reason why my left hand doesn't feel or sound as good as my right is because I march traditional, and now that I play match grip, it's still trying to catch up to it. because this one has had a head start. But anyways, so I got that data, and I took that data and went, okay, I'm going to start at 40 and go one click at a time faster, and just focus on like my thumb, trying to relax that and not moving my wrist over, etc. And then at the end of the practice streams, I chop out. Now, if you actually look at my live streams, if you scroll down, in the timestamps that are in the live streams, it reflects this, where I will warm up with something. So for example, I was doing tenor sweeps the other day. So if we look at the timestamps inside of here, this is the warm-up chunk. This is stretching and massaging. And then this long old chunk right here is me playing rodeo. And when I was playing rodeo, you'll notice I'm playing at 40. And I've been drumming for almost 30 years, and I still slow this stuff down and play this slow. It's like that important for you to do as well. But it's this large chunk right here that is the most important thing that you are focusing on. And then at the end, I chop out with something. In this instance, I was chopping out with Blue Devil's 1999 chopping spree. But if you take that pattern of a small amount warming up, a small amount stretching and massaging to keep your hands nice and healthy, your bulk is whatever it is that you need to work on for like 80% of your practicing. And then the very end is just chopping out for fun. That is what I generally recommend for what you're working on. That can apply to multiple different instruments, etc. Warm up, stretch, focus on something that you're actively trying to improve, and then push yourself to play a little faster or just have fun with your playing. So like for myself right now, what I'm trying to do is improve my foot speed because I haven't worked this up. And so I'm trying to actively push myself to play faster at the very end. So I have fun doing something that's pushing myself to play better than I currently can. But I spent the majority of it like working on stuff that I'm not great yet, which is like those 52 and 53 limb independence patterns that I was doing. But today's stream I was also answering a bunch of different questions. So like it didn't have as clear of like each one of the chunks. Like there was a lot of me responding like I am right now, which I enjoy doing. That's the point of these office hours. But anyways, I'm going to try and speed my feet up 5 clicks faster. We'll see how this goes. So heel down first, and then I'll switch to heel up. So we're at 80 now, which is 20 clicks faster than I did a couple weeks ago. Okay, now heel up. 2. Which I should actually elaborate on something. What I was just talking about. Heel up. 2. Two. And 2. And again, that was about 24 clicks faster than I started with a couple weeks ago. So progress is being made with it. The thing that I wanted to elaborate on is like for rudimental drumming in general, what I recommend is like 50 to 60% of that bulk of that you practice is technique related stuff. 30 to 40% are grid variations, which is technique for rudiments. So really mastering these different rudiments in here. And then 10 at most 20% of your time is like chop stuff, whether it's chopping sprees or show excerpts or whatever. If you can divide your time that way, that's where you'll make the most gains with rudimental drumming. That's what I wish I did more of when I was like first learning. But when I like really accelerated my playing was when I focused on that kind of stuff more so than like the chop stuff. So like initially I was like had influence from like peers and instructors who really focused on the chop stuff, but my technique suffered and it led to some hand issues, some injuries and whatnot, which I've remedied by working on my technique and by doing the stretch and massage that I mentioned at the bottom of this drumming lessons playlist in this video. But great questions today. Had a couple of trolls, but they're now gone. So goodbye. Have fun. But tomorrow I will be back on drum pads. So tomorrow I'm working on paradiddle zoom zoom, and I'm gonna slow it all the way down to 40, and we're gonna work on speeding up and relaxing our paradiddles so we can have nice, comfy paradiddles, etc. So stay tuned for that. And then I'll also play through Yakuza. Speaking of, in probably about 15 or 20 minutes, because I got to move everything, I'll start playing that game for about an hour. Today's a shorter stream day because I have a conflict, but I'm rambling. If you enjoy these free resources, just share it with somebody else. If you don't enjoy these free resources, share it with an enemy. Either way, it helps. But if you are, like Dr. Don, interested in becoming a member to get the early access to the around 600 videos that are all scheduled to release for free, like this one comes out tomorrow, this one comes out next Friday, there's a new play along every single day, etc. Any one of the videos, all you have to do is just click the join button underneath, and it's 99 cents. That's the cheapest that I can make it on YouTube, but it gives you early access to all of the videos that are scheduled to release for free. None of it's going to be behind like a permanent paywall or anything. Like I don't sell a book or a course or an app or teach privately anymore. I just create free content, and it's just early access. So either wait, but it might be like a year and a half from now, or it's 99 cents if you're interested in that. But again, my goal is to make this like AdSense supported for all of these different like free resources. It currently pays me about $1 a day, just being real with you. So it's not AdSense supported at the moment, but I'm enjoying making all these resources. So I hope you enjoyed as well. And yeah, anyways, I hope you have a good rest of your day. You have an E-kit? You've been jamming on it? Well, good, good. Yeah, I'd highly recommend if you got an E-kit, checking out in the limb independence section, check out towards the top of any one of these playlists. This one, how to develop limb independence on the kit. It's a fun challenge to work on with any of these like 62 limb independence variations that I demonstrate in here. And you can use that with any of these timing exercises or any of the charts that I did. Lots of cool stuff you can do with an E-kit. But anyways, I'm going to call it here. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And thank you again, everybody. And goodbye.